StarVox, please cut.
Go ahead and tell me how long you've been working with MagicaVoxel and how you got into it.
Oh, that's a pretty long story.
Cool,
Um,
excellent.
yeah. So it was in 2018. Um, I was back then. I was actually modeling for Minecraft. I was using Blockbench.
Hmm.
Um, it's a piece of software, also free, developed also
Hmm.
by one guy, and it's pretty user friendly. So I picked that up quite quickly. And I was playing a lot of Minecraft already, and so that was already a bit connected to voxels, I would say, or
Hmm.
it contributed a lot to what I do now, because I
Yeah.
always like to make trees and terrain in Minecraft, so that kind of translated into voxel art.
Yeah, cool.
Um, I found MagicaVoxel because the creator of Blockbench made a plugin that made it possible to import Vox files into Blockbench,
Hmm.
and he showed like an example, and it was the Monument Valley one that is always packaged
Oh
with
yeah, like the
MagicaVoxel.
yeah.
And I was already quite a big fan of Monument Valley, so
Yeah.
that's pretty much what got me instantly to download it. Mm, I still remember it was like mm, late evening, and I already had to go to bed, but I still wanted to try it. So I sat down and was like voxel modeling for an hour. I still have the original model even. I could
Mm.
send you a render later. And that's actually how I started. Actually, by accident. If that if Blockbench never had that plugin, I would probably never find voxels because I never heard of voxel before.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's how I found voxels, and I've been doing it for 2 years by now. Um, I will just start how my voxel history started.
Sure.
Um, Basically, the 3 first months were pretty dark. I didn't learn anything at all. Um, that's the time where I didn't find the MagicaVoxel server, and I was pretty much only on Reddit. Um,
Hmm.
but even then, the creations on there blew me away at that time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so and one day on Reddit, I saw the Vox Edit editor, or like advertisement almost, and how they like pay the creators and so on. So I joined
Hmm.
their Discord server first before the MagicaVoxel one.
Yeah.
Um, and I was probably 2 months on there before I found the MagicaVoxel community server. And I still remember there was one guy that was really helpful back then. He isn't very active anymore. I think his name was Johnny Eden.
Hmm.
Um,
That
I
sounds familiar.
Yeah, so he was really helpful back then, mainly to improve as an artist and accept more feedback. Because back then, I was very protective of my art. I really couldn't take any feedback or subjective opinions. I
Oh,
always started,
criticism. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I always
Okay.
became very defensive, and that's what I'm still trying to improve at, but it got a lot better by now.
Hmm. Hey, that's good. That's mature.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a good like I feel like a lot of people don't get out of that mode, so good work.
yeah. I feel like that's a problem a lot of new artists have to fight with,
Hmm.
and that's also one thing that might kill the motivation of an artist. So I always try to keep feedback and opinions mild when I see a new member of the voxel artist community.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to kill their motivation instantly by telling them how not good their art is, for example.
Yeah, yeah. Give them some time to improve.
Yeah, exactly. So he helped me a lot in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably where I found Knos or Nos. I don't really know how to pronounce his name still. But I still remember him posting on there, and he had already a year of experience, and everything he did always blew me away. So I would say he had a very big impact on my voxel career and how I do my voxels today.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think we're getting compared a lot. Um, that's also the time, like probably 4 months into voxel art, is where I found the MagicaVoxel server, and that's also the time where I started to learn the most. Mainly because there was a help channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
The help channel wasn't even that helpful back then, but they just showed me the tweets from Ep Tracy. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well, he already had like this big library of his showcases on the new features, and they pretty much taught me all the nooks and crannies of MagicaVoxel. That's also why I would say I'll know so much today, because I pretty much studied every tweet he already did by then. And, well, the server itself is very helpful too. Like, there are a lot of people that are much more experienced than I, and I was always able to get help or like a second opinion on my pieces. That's why I also always recommend to join the server when I recommend someone to try voxel art, because that's probably the one thing that helps everyone, like the community. So, and since then, pretty much got into trees, my landscapes,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been improving for 2 years. I would say I'm better than ever before, but I still have a long way to go.
Do you have any like experience with other digital art? Were you like did you have like I guess a practical in with voxel art? Did you like, oh, I was already interested in digital art, or I was gonna do 3D modeling before?
Well, I was interested in 3D modeling before. I tried to pick up Blender uh, like 2 years before I even discovered MagicaVoxel, but the UI was like awful, and it was
Yeah.
really not user friendly, so I never had the motivation to pick it up, and I never did. So I had the interest. I always had the need to somehow express my ideas, but I was never really into art before voxels.
Did video game design ever appeal to you at all or anything?
Well, sure. I feel like everyone who plays games wants to make their own game one day
Mm.
until you notice how hard it is, so you never do.
Yeah.
I think that's the same case uh, in my situation. I
Mhm.
probably would like to make a game, but I'm just too lazy.
Are you what are you currently going to school for?
Um, well, actually, I'm actually doing my apprenticeship right now.
Oh yeah.
Apprenticeships in Germany are quite interesting, I'd say.
Mm.
I finished school like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and apprenticeship is basically when you're working and going to school at the same time. You're collecting theoretical knowledge and practical. So I
Mhm.
go 4 weeks to working, and then I'm going to school for 2 weeks. And
Okay.
that's like a cycle I always have to follow.
I gotcha. So you can actually treat it like a job at the same time too, like you're like paid.
Yeah.
or is it like an internship where you're only paid in experience?
Oh no, I am getting paid, not not that much like a full employee, but it's
Yeah.
enough to survive. But luckily, I live with my parents, so I can keep
Mm.
everything.
Yeah, I got you. Cool. That sounds cool. What was your apprenticeship for again?
Um, I'm in IT, like a
Yeah.
system administrator. Well, I would say in kindergarten I would like to become some uh, Lego creator or something because I really
Oh,
liked it back then.
yeah.
Um, then I grew up and thought I will become an engineer or something similar.
Hmm.
Um, but in eighth grade we had like IT courses in school,
Hmm.
and we did programming, and that pretty much got me into IT. Um, I would say I was the class nerd. I was well, I always had good grades and was
Hmm.
helping the others, but
Good, good.
programming wasn't really something that I could delve into because it felt very monotonous to me because like writing code all day is a bit boring for me.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then I did an uh, internship at a firm, and I actually wanted to go to the programming like department, but I accidentally got into the like system administrator department, and yeah, it was a funny coincidence, but I liked it so much that I decided to become a system administrator. That's why I'm
Huh.
currently learning, uh,
Okay,
striving to be.
cool. It's interesting. So it was kind of accidental. That's funny.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah, you'll eventually just sort of, do you want to just work for any specific company, or do you want to do freelance work, or would you like to become your own developer studio?
Um, don't have really any wishes. I like the company I'm currently working at. Um, I like the guys over there a lot and the work environment.
That's good.
I guess I will hope for the best.
In terms of like, I guess stuff that you want to make or be responsible for in the future, do you have any like major projects that you'd like to use your education or like skills with voxel or anything like that to work on? Like, do you want
No, actually not. No.
to? Okay.
Like, I treat voxel art as a hobby still.
Hmm.
I do take commissions from time to time, but I can't really do much on. Well, I feel like I'm burning out too quickly when I do too many commissions.
Yeah,
So I try to keep that at a minimum and keep it as a hobby. Like
I
I
got you.
can't imagine really doing it as full-time freelance
Yeah, for
work.
work, yeah. Your natural like landscapes and stuff are great. And of course, everybody loves to compliment your trees and ask you how you made them.
I feel like I'm just known for my trees.
You did a tutorial, didn't you, on how to make trees?
Oh yeah, I actually did two already. Like
Oh.
for the old technique, which I
Hmm.
actually resent now. Yeah, I really don't like it actually. Um,
Oh.
it makes the trees look very noisy, and actually it doesn't look very natural.
Hmm.
Uh, like past Dima thought that's really cool, and he did something really major in his voxel career.
Hmm.
Um, but if I think about it now, it's not that great.
It was a stepping stone. There was more to figure out.
Yeah, uh, they did teach me a lot, but I don't like it.
Okay, cool. So would you like to? Well, is the first method still viable? Like, would it still work for people to like use and learn from, or would you like to just get rid of it altogether?
Well, it's not terrible. It's still
Hmm.
a very quick and easy technique, especially for beginners.
Yeah.
Um, like I don't judge people if they make trees like that. I literally did that for more than a year,
Mm-hmm.
and I myself won't use those trees ever again, I think, because I
Mm-hmm.
developed that new technique I'm very satisfied with.
Yeah.
But I probably can recommend using the old one if someone needs like some degree of tree in their scene. But I feel like everyone is importing them today, so I feel like the craft of trees is slowly dying. Yeah, I think that starts the debate that pixel art had a long time. Like, is importing a photo and downscaling it still pixel art, or is it pixel
Mm-hmm.
art at all? Same with
Right.
voxels. If you import a 3D model into MagicaVoxel and voxelize it, is it still voxel art? So that's my inner debate I always have to fight with. Um, but I usually try not to judge people on their techniques and how they achieve their art.
Uh, have you talked to like tons of other artists at this point, like on the level of collaboration, would you say?
I don't think I really collaborated with artists that much.
Yeah.
I did with some pixel artists, Attacker for example.
Mm-hmm.
We had a tutorial scene together, and we did a train station collab on the low spec server.
Mm-hmm.
But like I didn't have many one-on-one collaborations. But
Okay.
I try to organize the one room challenges. It's apparently yearly now,
Yeah.
and people seem to enjoy it also.
Yeah, they did actually. Got some really cool stuff out of it. I'd say that turned out very well. You did a good job.
It was pretty accidental also. Um, I don't remember how I got the idea in the first place though.
Neither do I. I feel like I was in on trying to come up with the next event and just struggling to come up with something and probably did not at the time.
Was the Starship event before or after the One Room event?
That's a good question. I think it was before. I
So
think.
if that's the case, I might have took some inspiration from it
Okay.
and made it my own idea. I I really had a hard time making a spaceship, really, to be honest,
Did you?
because I'm not really into sci-fi. It's probably one
Okay.
of my biggest weaknesses, like some
Mm.
sci-fi futuristic stuff. I'm
Yeah.
more into organic, natural buildings and trees.
Yep. It definitely shows. You're very good at it. I like. It seems kind of like pointless to say that how much I like your trees now, but I do because I remember seeing your trees when you started out. So like the whole evolution, and also you've been better at trees than I have this entire time. So good stuff.
Well, have you ever tried to make any trees?
I have definitely. I've done low res trees for the most part, so I would just try to make like a blocky tree that fit the rest of the space that I had it in. And I've also done some like just simple uh, like cones for pine trees, just like really small.
I think that adds up why people import trees today.
Mm-hmm.
It's a viable like option to get good
Yep.
looking trees very quickly.
It's easier to import like a low poly model into voxel to have it voxelized as opposed to hand paint something that looks natural and organic. So like if you're gonna hand paint like an entire tree from scratch every time, it's terrible for workflow.
Oh yeah, totally. Um,
Hmm.
I, for example, only did my trees once, and I keep them like in my voxel library.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, it's good.
have like 5 variations of my trees, and those are pretty much in every scene by now.
They look very good. Do you like tweak them from time to time? Do you ever see like small things you want to change?
Yeah, always. And I
Cool.
usually change them in the scene itself, then also, like adjusting the colors and the shape a little bit.
Um, I love the way your trees look, especially in like mist and fog. When you get the sun just right, you do a lot with God rays and sun rays and things. Looks very nice. Looks very picturesque and photographic.
I feel like that's the only thing I was doing for the past 2 years, though.
Yeah, kinda. Well, you did the Breath of the Wild piece, which had Link and Zelda in it.
It was probably the one and only time I was able to make good looking pixel art because I'm not good at it.
I think your pixel art looks fine.
Uh, well, you haven't seen my other attempts because I am ashamed of sharing them.
Ah, well, we
Uh,
can get around to that sometime. Because I think voxel art benefits hugely from being able to do good 2D like sprite work and stuff to blend in.
I feel like if you are able to create 2D stuff pretty well, you could learn voxel art pretty quickly, but it's not
Hmm.
the other way around. Because to create a good looking pixel art piece, you have to learn the fundamentals, like how do colors work with each other. But in
Hmm.
voxels, you pretty much brute force it, and it still looks nice because it's rendered.
Thank God for the MagicaVoxel renderer.
Oh yeah, thank God that's free also.
So, in terms of like editors and renderers, do you have like any other preferences? Like MagicaVoxel your favorite? Do you like to use any other tools more specifically for other things?
Well, I use MagicaVoxel almost exclusively.
Hmm.
Um, I rarely branch out into Blender because, well, I only use Blender when the scene in the MagicaVoxel is too small. Like
Hmm.
my scenes are too big and the working area is too small. Then I usually try to branch out into Blender and try to get something decent.
Hmm.
But I prefer the built-in render the most.
Yeah, I got you. It's a very good renderer.
Yeah, usually try not to touch up my renders like in Photoshop. Uh, MagicaVoxel is almost my exclusive tool of choice.
Did you ever get around to using uh, Vox Edit for anything?
Well, I was in the artist fund for some time.
Hmm.
Um, I wasn't really a big fan of Foxedit, mainly
Yeah.
because it always crashes on me, and I always lose my progress.
Oh,
At at some point, I made myself a macro that just saves every 10 seconds.
I didn't spend much time with it myself. I did a little bit of investigation.
It seems to be pretty good for animations, but I really
Mm.
prefer the editor in MagicaVoxel, just
Yeah.
because I already built all my workflows around it. I also
Hmm.
tried Cubicle at some
Cubicle.
point,
Yeah.
and like Zach, or yeah, Zach Soares, like helped me a lot to learn
Hmm.
the basics, but I kind of didn't get in. Well, I didn't find a stable workflow I could stick to that. Well, that helped my large scenes.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, Cubicle seems to be pretty good for like small assets. Uh, Zach is able to create some really cool art with it, but I am not.
Hmm. Yeah. He's super skilled with that software. A very good artist and strong developer.
Well,
Great
wasn't he
guy.
already working on it like with Cubicle for 11 years or so? So I think he had enough experience to
Yeah.
gain.
To be proficient. Yeah. The voxel community is steadily growing. Like we've got games that are being developed in voxel style now, and there's all sorts of tools that take pixel art to voxel art, and then vice versa, and little animations and programs that handle 2D and 3D in specific ways. Do you think that like the MVC, for example, should continue to expand its efforts? Do you think like we'll continue to get more users and we'll have more art and more artists and or portfolios and profiles and projects going on?
Well, yeah, totally. I think our community is already like a hotspot for MagicaVoxel users,
Hmm.
and it's like a great resource to learn from. And I think we should like keep up the effort to keep it that way. Um, like when communities start to split off, it usually I feel like doesn't end well.
Hmm.
Um, but you're right. Like a lot, MagicaVoxel, like not even MagicaVoxel, Voxel in general are getting more and more popular. Um, a lot of more games and tools, like you said, and I think it will grow a lot more in the future.
And it's good to have like the server active all the time for, I think you said earlier, the help channel is great because the server is the only reason that like communicating with other artists that I became any better at voxel art. I definitely needed a lot of help from people who had experience and who knew about like 3D digital art in general, so that I could benefit from that. Um, yeah, so it's good to be able to teach new users. I like that the server is there for people to find and ask questions and get a quick start, and then also share what they make with the community.
Yeah, especially because MagicaVoxel also got some quirks you have
Hmm.
to learn. Like, oh no, my model is underground. What do I do? It's like
Hmm.
probably the most common question we get in the help channel,
Yeah,
or
for sure.
something like, "Oh no, my renders are cut off. Oh, you need to click sparse volume." It's like probably in the top five most asked questions in the help channel.
Yep, for sure. And there are resources and assets that can be found in and outside the server, of course, for help with MagicaVoxel. But I think if you want the most current help with the app for like the version that's present at the moment, then the server is probably the best place to go, so that we can all talk it out.
Yeah, we are like a collective mind, sharing our new techniques and things we discover. Because not
Hmm.
all stuff that usually gets released is documented by Abtracy, I would say. Um,
True, yeah.
so finding new stuff and sharing it is probably also why our community is so great.
Well, thanks for being with me, Dima,
Yeah,
on
thank you
the
also.
return of the VoxCast, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you.